In this video, you're going to be learning how to make a YouTube video in 5 easy steps. This is kind of like YouTube 101. And I'm joined today by a creator that is generating 19,000 new subscribers every single month, close to 2 million views a month, from a channel that's almost to 1 million subscribers at the time of streaming this and doing this recording. And he's going to be breaking down his 5-step process for how do you come up with good video ideas? How do you then turn those into actually a good outline and content? What are some editing hacks and tricks so that we can go faster in the editing phase? Then we got to upload it, title it, do the optimization stuff, and eventually share that video with the world. And so this video creation process is so important. And here's a big idea for you. What would happen if you sped up just one step of your workflow and video creation process? How many more videos could you get done? How much of a greater impact could you make on YouTube if you were able to maybe just fix something that's broken in your workflow? And even more important, what if there's an area of your workflow that is taking you 10 times longer than it should? An area of you making videos that has slowed you down so much that if you sped it up, you'd be able to make a much bigger impact on YouTube. All of that and more is going to be covered in today's Think Media video. And I'm so excited to be joined by Rob Wilson from vidiq. Rob, how's it going?
Hey, Sean. Hello. Thank you for having me on Think Media once again. Hello to the Think Media community. And I just want to say a special shout out to the vidiq community, which is apparently raiding us right now. So thank you very much for everybody joining us today. Looking forward to talking about content creation, as it's what we do every single day.
Absolutely. And I'm also excited because we are going to be talking about this video is brought to you by vidiq and a brand new tool that vidiq has released that's actually going to help us in our video creation workflow process. But we have 5 stages, really 5 tips that we're going through in terms of Rob's workflow. I'm going to be sharing some of the things we do at Think Media. But Rob, the number one, before we edit, before we press record on our camera, before we do anything else, the video idea plots your course. What do you mean by that?
Absolutely, Sean. I think what I want to start off with here before anything else, and I've said this before when I've had conversations with you, Sean, is that nothing beats experience. And in turn, experience will grant you the gift of instinct. And what I mean by that is when you're watching content on YouTube, reading blogs, seeing news stories, immersing yourself in your video topic, you will have these creative neurons firing off in your head about, ooh, that sounds like a really interesting idea. Could I turn it into a video? So I'm always asking the question when I'm seeing other people make content and I'm seeing YouTube news stories, can I make this into a video and will my audience find value in it? And so that's where the embryo, the starting point of a video idea really comes into play. And the idea is so important because even if your video idea is just a few degrees off course, you're in a plane and you're taking off, and let's say you're heading towards Los Angeles from Boston, but you're like 2 degrees off course. You could end up in Hawaii or you could end up in Mexico. You completely miss your target because the video idea wasn't quite right. So I think that's why video ideas themselves are so critical to the creation process.
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned experience, because when we're new to YouTube, if we're just starting our channel, and shout me out, vidiq and Think Media community in the comments, how many videos have you posted so far? How long have you been on YouTube? How many subscribers do you have so far? Once you have a library, we're over 1,000 videos posted here on the Think Media channel. And that's a lot of data to look at. Man, these topics did good. These video topics didn't do as good. We should stop doing those. And we started to learn here at Think Media that yes, titles are important. Yes, thumbnails are important. They're like everything for getting the click. But actually, the video idea itself is even more important, because maybe people don't even want to watch what you're thinking about making a video on, or maybe only 5% of your potential audience are interested in that topic. Whereas if you talked about the right thing at the right time, it could hit thousands, tens of thousands of people, because you hit that hot topic. Have you noticed that on your channel? And do you know how many videos you guys have posted on the vidiq channel, Rob?
So I think we're up to just under 1,000. It's almost as if the videos published is following our subscriber count. Almost like when we hit 1 million subscribers, we'll have roughly 1,000 videos published. I've been working for vidiq now for nearly 4 years, and we've tried to run a schedule of 2 videos on demand per week and 2 live streams. But because we like to react to YouTube news, which brings so many ideas in itself, sometimes we can make 3 or 4 videos depending on what's happening in the YouTube universe. But as you're saying, Sean, sometimes creators just don't have the necessary experience. You can't just make 1,000 videos to get that experience. You might be on 10 or 20, and it's at that point where I think our brand new tool, the Daily Ideas tool, can really start helping drive the best video ideas for your channel.
Yeah, I love that. And we've been using that tool here at Think Media. And so I want you to dive in and show us a little bit about that. But before you do, a couple things. First, thank you so much for the super chat, Salad Cream Boy. We are going to be answering your video creation questions a little bit later after the 5 tips. And so keep questions coming in and super chats if you have questions about your YouTube workflow flow about producing videos. And today's video is brought to you by vidiq. We love using vidiq. And I want Rob to show us this new video idea tool, because maybe without that experience or without knowing what best video idea to create, you were able to just shortcut that process by using artificial intelligence, machine learning. And then we'll get into these next 5 tips as well after this. So Rob, show us the tool and how we can use it to come up with winning video ideas and topics.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to share my screen, Sean, as you can see, this is the YouTube homepage. And once you have the vidiq extension installed, you'll start to see some more options down the left-hand navigation bar, and one of these is Daily Ideas. And once you've authenticated your channel with vidiq, we then start to look under the bonnet of your channel, and as long as you've posted at least 1 video in the last 90 days, but ideally more is better, then vidiq is going to start comparing your titles and your videos to similar videos on YouTube and start to bring up ideas. So this can be the spark of your inspiration. But when we're getting these ideas, I don't want you to necessarily treat this simply as the title of your next video. It could be the spark. It raises a question. Could you reshape the idea into something else, or could you subvert the idea? And the reason I'm saying that is because this idea is really intriguing. Get 1 million subscribers instantly. Now, I'm sure, Sean, you would agree with me that this is somewhat of a dangerous title, because how can you get people, getting 1 million subscribers instantly is pie in the sky, really. It's a bit of a pipe dream. It's a sprint, it's not a marathon. But, how could I subvert that idea? Maybe I'm thinking of something along the lines of, don't think about getting 1 million subscribers instantly. Think about getting 100 subscribers next week or next month. That's the realistic goal there. So this idea here is making me start to think about goal setting as a potential idea from this. Now, if it's a good idea, I could click the save button, and then that's going to save it into my list of saved ideas. And then I move on to the next idea, because with Daily Ideas, you get up to 50 suggestions every single day, which is incredible. Not every single idea is going to be perfect, but when you're getting 1,500 ideas every single month, if you convert less than 1% of those into videos, then that's your video schedule for the next month. This next one, YouTube browse features, traffic sources. Now, this is a really interesting idea here. Now, how could I think about turning this into a video about where do you get most views? Sure, some channels very much rely on search, but I think ultimately for most channels, as they build communities, they want their videos appearing on the browse features and having really high click-through rates. So again, my neurons are already firing, Sean. I haven't quite got the full idea here just yet, but already I have enough information here to start thinking about the video I was going to make. So I'm going to save that. And then lo and behold, here's a suggestion about how to grow YouTube channel fast with vidiq. That clearly indicates that this Daily Ideas tool is scanning the vidiq channel and giving us ideas that we might use. But let's say I didn't want to use this idea. I could simply dismiss it. And we could go through these cards, for the next 40 ideas, swipe left, swipe left, swipe right type of thing. I know in your video, Sean, you had a little bit of a joke of these ideas sliding into your DMs. But if you wanted to look at it as a list, there we have all of our ideas for the entirety of today. And then we get another 50 the following day. So it's really unbelievable tool, and it's learning all of the time.
Yeah. And of course, what ideas are being recommended is Rob is looking at the ideas for the vidIQ channel, which is positions itself as a creator-focused YouTube tips channel that's going to help you grow your channel. So that's why how to get subscribers are being recommended there. So what the tool is doing is it's going to study your content. It's going to study the videos you upload. And Rob, how many videos do you need to upload for it to start studying your channel, getting data? It's also pulling data from all of YouTube or from all of accounts that vidIQ is installed on, right? Pulling in all this data. So now you can utilize the big brain thinking of the YouTube platform to apply to your niche. So kind of how does it work?
So here's the real power of a tool. I don't know if you've ever been onto the YouTube studio, and it's us creators who have lots of data. We'll see information about viewers who are watching your content also watch these channels. But then we get asked this question a lot of the time for channels under 100 subscribers. I don't have that data, and I know that can be really frustrating. So the power of the vidIQ Daily Ideas tool is that as long as you've published a video in the last 90 days, irrespective of channel size, irrespective of how many views you have, irrespective of video topic, then Daily Ideas is going to start working for you. Obviously, the more videos you publish, the more accurate it's going to get. But when we're suggesting 50 ideas a day, chances are you're going to find 3 or 4 that are relevant to your channel.
Man, I love it. And in just a second, we're going to get into our next 4 tips, because this is just the idea generation stage. This is coming up with your video topic. But, a couple frameworks that questions I lay on top of us using the tool is kind of what Rob said. If the tool recommends how to get 1 million subscribers instantly, I kind of ask myself a couple questions. What videos would be easiest for me to make? This is a good question to ask, because every once in a while you might think, it'd be really cool. I could probably get a lot of attention on my YouTube channel if I rent a helicopter, hire 10 actors, go to the mountains, get a bunch of fireworks and smoke bombs, get a red Komodo dragon camera or something, shoot 500 frames per second slow motion. But then you go, that actually might take a while though, and it might take some money to get that video done. Or I could do like a story time video, or I could react to some news using software like this, and that would take me an hour. I asked myself, how easy will this video idea be? Like, how quickly could I make this video idea? And then does it resonate with me? Like Rob said, could you pivot it? Could you shift it? And the cool thing is with 50 video ideas a day, you could just say, I'm not feeling that one, dismiss. Oh, there's a good one. And then you start to workshop that and sort of formulate that into your outline. It's not your literal title. It is that jumping off point of inspiration, influenced by machine learning, influenced by AI, with the recommendation that there's going to be high viewership, medium, or maybe low viewership. And you can stay in that high realm, especially when you want growth. And so if you've been getting value so far in this video, smash the like button. And I want to get into point number 2 in just a second. But Rob, if you could show us really quick, when you find maybe an idea on there and you maybe want to dig into that video, you can click on it. Yeah. And then it also pops up the top ranked videos for sort of that title or that search term. Hello. And now that you can, and so now you can easily from that window also study what are some of the other people saying, what is the type of content, what is the intent maybe around this search term. That way you can then parlay that into maybe a unique video that you're going to create. How do you use that when you're creating your videos over at vidIQ?
You certainly read my mind there, Sean, as I did want to pick this up. And I picked this one purely by chance. I'm promoting YouTube channel free and boost increased views. Now, I'm guessing this title has probably come from many of the Indian YouTube creators who have a very curious way of titling things. But when we do the research, now we're bringing up many, English language channels, which just happen to be Think Media. So I'm seeing lots of suggestions here. Well, a great video here from Nolan, also one from yourself. And so what I'm starting to look at here is not only the titles, but the thumbnail. And we're going to come on to this a lot later on, but I'm starting to look here at what I call the 3-second sales pitch. This is the idea, but the research here, the videos that I'm seeing here, these are the final results of your idea. And so does that idea turn into something that a viewer is likely to click on a browse page, a home page, et cetera, et cetera? Once I've seen the thumbnails and the titles, and we also get to see the view counts here as well, maybe I'm going to click into the video, watch it, maybe make some notes, which is going to inspire me to make my own interpretation of the idea. Because remember, your goal is never to just copy somebody else verbatim. It's to take ideas and inspiration from what's already out there on YouTube and then add your own voice, your own unique style. Make the video something that viewers want to watch because it's you and not necessarily somebody else's content. But all stems from that idea and the research that we're seeing here.
Yeah, I love that. So, hey, if you want to check this out more, a couple things. One, we will link to a video that I did on the tool in the description down below. Really recommend that. You can check out other resources in the description down below. And if you haven't installed vidiq yet, you can go to vidiq.com/think to get not just signed up for vidiq, and you can get a 30-day free trial plan of the Boost plan. But you also can then get it all authorized, as Rob said, get it all installed so that there's a vidiq Vision plugin. And then you basically have installed a super brain and Avengers X-Men powers to be able to really start coming up with video ideas and a whole suite of tools from vidiq. So take advantage of that, vidiq.com/think. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later as well. But now we've come up with our video idea, Rob. We have 5 tips. The next tip here is planning versus impulse. Where do you fit in? What do you mean by that?
So this is where we start to talk about the individual creator. And I'm not going to lie to you folks. I don't necessarily create content the way Sean does, or Omar does, or Nolan, or anyone on the Think Media team, or anyone else in the entire creator universe. I have my own little quirks and foibles when it comes to content creation. So what I mean by that is that usually the standard practice would be when you have an idea, you want to try and plan it out, your intro, the middle, the end, and all that type of thing. But although I do plan my videos to a certain extent, and Sean, if you want to share my screen, this is just an example of me actually preparing for this live stream. We spec'd it out a little bit. Sean gave me a few bullet points yesterday in our conversations, but I actually needed to spec out what I was going to say, bullet point things in the planning, because if I don't plan, then I start to ramble, which I often do in my videos if I don't have a plan. So I have certain elements of what I want to speak about, but at the same time, these are only bullet points. I don't want to go into meticulous detail because, you see, I'm even reading off a script now, because the nuts and bolts of my video really come together when I start shooting. So for me personally, the creation process can be very organic. It's often chaotic, but as I said earlier, nothing beats experience. So I do trust and rely on my creative process to start fitting all of these jigsaw pieces together. So as I say, I don't necessarily recommend this strategy. It's simply the way that I've learned to create content. And I'm spending more on now very recently, what I have been trying to do is be a bit more strategic. I'm spending a lot of time now on crafting my intros because the first 30 seconds are crucial. Once somebody has abandoned your content, you're never going to get them back. And it's usually in those first 30 seconds where you lose the majority of your audience. So in terms of planning, if I focus on anything more than anything else, it's certainly the intros.
And that's really brilliant there. You know, makes me think kind of just the painful lessons I've learned in content creation over the years. You know, the Think Media team just dropped prior planning prevents poor performance. But I know when I started making videos years ago, I was just run and gun, man. I was just a cowboy. I would just head out, start shooting, no plan. I would end up with tons of footage. Can you relate to this? I might end up with like hour of footage, 2 hours. And this was actually in 2003. I started shooting videos for my youth group before YouTube started. So I'd make these weekly video announcements. We'd just go shoot random stuff. We thought we needed endless B-roll. And have you ever been on vacation and you thought you're going to make a bunch of travel vlogs and cool vlogs from your vacation? You filmed everything. You're like, I got like 8 hours of footage on a hard drive. I'm so pumped. But then you get home and you're overwhelmed and you're like, I don't know. What am I going to do with all this? You end up doing nothing with it because there was no structure to it. There was no organization to it. You thought, oh, look at this cool shot of the deer. Look at this slow motion shot of the bridge. But then it's like, where's it all go? What's the plan for all of it? And what's funny is now doing video, I guess, for 18 years since I first picked up that video camera at my local church youth ministry. Now I've realized that the planning on paper, or just like you, in my case, Google Docs, you're using like Asana, right? The planning on paper is everything. Like if the more I know before I press record, the more I know even what my title is, what my thumbnail is, what the intro, what the hook is, maybe the exact things I'm going to say in the video. And I don't script the videos, but I do bullet point them. And to the degree that there's clarity in that planning phase, is totally to the degree that I don't overshoot footage, that the video is stronger, and that all of the next steps are smoother. There's anybody in video production has heard the phrase, fix it in post. And the goal though, is to not fix it in post. Like if anybody has video, somebody creating content that's submitting it to an editor, the most offensive thing you could say to the editor is, just fix it in post. They're like, well, why didn't you get it right the first time? Yeah. Like, why didn't you, I'll just fix the audio in post. Like, well, why didn't you actually have it on your checklist to make sure the audio levels were right? And so going off impulse can really slow you down. And planning it seems illogical because we're not pressing record. We're not creating it yet. We're not getting views yet. We're not doing anything seen kind of yet, but it's sometimes some of the most important work. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, you are right in that I am sometimes my own worst enemy because sometimes I don't plan as much as I should do. But I do want to go back to every single one of your videos, Sean, that says in the intro, you've just got to press record. And I think, to begin with, I think sometimes people overplan. And I always say that YouTube cannot stand procrastination. If you're just thinking about creating content and planning it and never actually doing it, then YouTube's going to go off and find somebody else's content, which has already been published on YouTube. But I mean, I'm probably being a little too self-critical here. I mean, you've just seen on my Asana notes how much I've prepared for this live stream. But I think what you're going to see in a couple of minutes is an example of where I've done very little planning, but that's because experience has brought me the gift of instinct. But we'll touch on that a little later.
I love it. So if you're getting value, friends, hit the like button. And we're talking about the content creation process. We're talking about 5 stages. We talked about the topic. You got to plan out, get a good video idea. vidiq has a great tool for that. Now you start planning out your video, outline your video, know what you're going to say. But then number 3 is shooting. And Rob in his workflow, by the way, Rob is doing 2 videos a week. It varies, but a lot of weeks he's doing 2 videos a week. He's doing 2 live streams a week, and he's doing everything by himself. So you can maybe relate. Again, these days at Think Media, you might have noticed we have a bigger team now. So we do have people helping us at the editing phase, even someone that's helping us design thumbnails. So a lot of the roles, we're posting 5 videos a week on this channel, 2-3 videos a week on our Think Media podcast channel, if you haven't heard about that yet. But how do we sustain that volume? Well, it also helps by having the multiple team members. But Rob is in a situation where he's teaching you his workflow. It's going to help you go faster. And he's doing the editing, he's doing the shooting, he's doing the video ideation. That's why things like tools and processes and hacks are critical, because you got to find a way to sustain that level of workflow. So Rob, what do you mean by know your variables and try to eliminate them?
So I think I have now made 2,000 videos on YouTube, both from my old channel and now with vidiq. But I am not a natural videographer. In fact, that's probably the most stressful thing for me. I'm not very good at filming, I believe, and I'm being self-critical here. So in order to try and reduce the stress of filming, what I try to do as much as possible is reduce variables. And what I mean by that is, in my situation, I'm recording indoors and I'm recording with the curtains closed to maintain consistent lighting. Because if you've noticed, sometimes if you're shooting at different times of the day, or you're not maybe using the lights in exactly the same positions every single time, the footage will start to lose consistency. Now, how important is that for somebody vlogging outside, telling stories? Maybe not so much, but your variables might be audio quality, making sure that the microphone is as close to your voice as possible, or how do you mitigate car noise using a dead cat, all of these types of things that are going to make sure that your content is as consistent as possible. And a recent example of this is, you probably won't believe this, Sean, but I only started shooting in manual mode on my camera in the last 6 months, because I wanted to start to get a kind of like a somewhat of a darker, cooler vibe, where the ring light was doing more work than outside noise. But it took me so long to embrace that, because I was just scared of the ISO and the aperture. But you know what I did? I spent a couple of days researching how to do this, improving 1%, not necessarily making content, but researching how to make better content. And so that's where I improved my video skills, but it's still a lot of work to be done. I'm sure you can expand a lot on this thought, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I actually love that you said that, because what can sometimes happen is we sometimes, until we think the ring light audio, know all the manual settings, know all the details, I need to wait until I get all that right to even, post a video. Maybe you shoot some stuff and you're like, that's not good enough to release. No, release it as it is. In the midst of all of this, all these strategies and tips, these are helping you to go further, faster, but you really do got to just press record. Like, you literally need to, you got to just press record. You got to just press record. I mean, and you got to start, and recording in auto is fine. Like, these days, I know I'm setting aperture, setting ISO, making sure, figuring out the shot, figuring out those details, thinking about, do you have a cool dome, Peter McKinnon light? Do you have what is the dimension? What's happening? What's your bit rate? But like, you can really get bogged down in the details. And I think one of the most important things in a video like this to remember is that complexity is the enemy of execution. And if your YouTube video creation workflow is slowing down, it may be that it's too complex for right now. It's actually not a huge challenge for me. I recently got the Canon R6, and I've been shooting with Canon for over a decade. So I was out of the box. I was like, boom, manual, cool. All right, 4K 30, awesome. Manual video. Okay, let's go 2.8 on the fixed 2.8 lens. Awesome, cool. Pull the audio little meter slider all the way down, because the internal amplifier, the internal preamp is not very good. Let the Rode Pro do the heavy lifting in the audio. Awesome. Dialed. Shot a video in my office. That video drops Friday. And that might have just kind of, if you're new, you might have been like, what did Sean just say? Like, what? Well, it's actually not super complex for me now, because listen, I just told you, I've been doing this for over 10 years with actual Canon menus, like a decade. So if you're just starting, how can you keep things simple? What are the variables that are important? And I like that Rob is saying, try to actually keep it as simple as possible. But then as you go, that's the motto, get 1% better. Hey, I feel comfortable in my workflow right now. Cool. Let me Let me dial in the lighting a little bit more. Let me enhance my background a little bit more. But one of the biggest things, Rob, that I think holds a lot of us back, and tell me in the comments, Think Media community, if you can relate to this, we say, I'll shoot that video when I get that new lens and it comes in the mail. I'm going to shoot that video when I actually feel like I understand my camera a little bit better. I'm going to shoot that video when I just don't know what software I should start using. Just pick one. I'm going to shoot that video when. And so we're always putting off tomorrow what we should take action on today. And the biggest lesson of the power of this is you guys are about to hit 1 million subscribers. And your video shot in auto still got views, still help people, still, in fact, arguably, even dialing in the details of the production, it maybe minimally is going to help retention and maybe help people be less distracted because the lighting, but it's really the content value. It's really some of the things that you maybe, it's just showing up repeatedly because you posted 10 videos, thought the first 5 are going to do great. They didn't do as good. Number 7, though, just crushed. You rushed that one. You didn't even think, and you felt bad because the audio wasn't even perfect because the mic wasn't plugged all the way in. Like, this is the way it works when you're taking massive action and then improving as you go. You can make a major impact on YouTube.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny what you say about waiting for the right technology in terms of hardware. Just wait until you see what editing program I use, folks, in as regards to that question. I did want to add as well about shooting. I do a combination of notes and scripts. To camera, I do multiple takes until I get the right words to form in my head. And I manage to eloquently get them out of my mouth. This has always been my biggest pain point. Even after 10 years and 2,000 videos, I, believe it or not, still feel really awkward, really uncomfortable, and very vulnerable in front of camera. But the good news is the viewer only ever sees your best take. When it comes to voiceovers, I think I am a bit more structured. I like to do voiceovers, when there's a bit of B-roll of his graphics on screen. It just makes it easier and more efficient for me to do that. But I do also realize that being in front of camera, creating that personal connection with the viewer is also very important. And if I didn't do this type of planning in my shooting, then as I said earlier, I would start to ramble and my advice, my education or opinion would start to lose its clarity and its impact.
I love that. And we're going to get into number 4 here in just a second. But some of the tips that we have for shooting practically here at Think Media, prepare the night before if possible. And that could mean make sure your batteries are charged, make sure your SD card is clear, maybe even set up your background the night before. Now, of course, you could do it the day of, but I've just learned that sometimes the time it takes to set up, the time it takes to dial things in, like there's something powerful about just putting your tripod in place, putting the camera maybe on it, maybe even getting the shot dialed, having a good night's rest, and then getting up, even if it's after work the next day, and then creating that next thing that you're going to be creating. And so potentially, and sometimes maybe you're going to batch produce videos. I like to maybe put out a couple t-shirt changes because now I could shoot 4 videos at once. All of that goes into just kind of maybe preparing before, getting the notes ready, getting it all dialed in, and then just boom, it's time to shoot. It's time to create. It's time to get all the footage on the SD card. It's time to get all of the footage onto your smartphone so that you are ready for editing. Well, Rob, take us to number 4. We're actually going to fix the number 4 banner because we have a duplicate. And then, but what is number 4?
So number 4 is, let me just get it here. It is editing. Oh, it is a duplicate, isn't it? I do apologize. So basically, we're talking about the editing process here. And essentially what that means is through the editing process, you can start to really value the viewer's time. Nobody wants to watch you talking directly to camera for 10 minutes, including your ums and ahs, without trying to illustrate maybe what you're talking about. Maybe if you're talking about a story, you actually recorded some of that footage. People want to engage and re-engage with your content. That's why during an intro of a video, you may see up to 30 different changes in angle, or what I would call pattern interrupts, whether that's a graphic appearing on screen or a bit of music appearing, or a sound effect, and so on and so forth.
So Rob, tell us what we're looking at here, because this right now, half of the Think Media community just had a heart attack, but you know, so we're looking at what video editing software, and this is you're now valuing. This is a huge tip. Value the viewer's time. This can be painful. You got to go and let us know. Think Media, like, is editing frustrating? Is it hard to learn? Well, no, you're taking time. Your investment of time here is in service to the viewer. You taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours to edit a video helps that 5-minute video be that much more valuable to the viewer. And this could be the very game changer for you really breaking out on your channel. More retention, more engagement, a higher level of quality. But Rob, what are we looking at here?
So this is a video I started working on this morning, and this is really one of those types of videos for me that's come from a single flash of inspiration. I don't know if you've seen this analytic yet yourself, Sean, in the YouTube studio, but YouTube have just added a metric which shows audience retention, your actual audience retention versus the typical audience retention on your videos. And I believe that that is a massive new data point that's really going to help you benchmark the performance of your videos. So that was actually the flash of inspiration. That's all I needed. And all of this video has come from that inspiration. But in order to keep the viewer engaged throughout this video, what I have to do is record something, then maybe, so you can see here in this very first bit, I'm actually speaking to camera, but what I've done is overlaid some graphics on top to illustrate what I'm talking about. Then it's back to me. I snap my fingers, we jump to another screen, and I'm trying to constantly re-engage the audience with different clips, scenes, and so on. If you're interested to know what this editing software is, it's Camtasia. Give me a thumbs up if any of you use Camtasia. It was primarily a screen recording editor in the past, which is why I use it a lot, because I'm often recording many vidiq tools. But essentially, the reason I still use Camtasia is because it does 95% of the things I need it to do perfectly. There are 5% of things I would love it to do, but I can live with that. If maybe in a few years' time it only did 70% of the things that I really wanted it to do, then I may start to look at Adobe Premiere Pro or something a little more complex. But for me, Camtasia is the perfect thing. And let me just give you a brief example of what I mean about valuing the viewer's time. I will take, let's say, this section here, and I'm going to zoom right in just so you can see it. Now, that's currently how the clip looks, but the original clip was a little bit bigger. What I've done here is I've just trimmed off the ends, you know, when I'm actually pressing the camera and turning off, and also where I'm just preparing to speak. I know it sounds like such a small thing, and it takes, you know, 10, 15 seconds to trim it, but removing all of those boring parts of a video, you know, your ums and your ahs and your mistakes, makes a monumental difference when you put these thousands of jigsaw pieces together for the final product. And again, I think this just takes experience. This is through me editing 2,000 videos where I've got to a point where, you know, I'm speaking for maybe 5 or 7 seconds, and then I'm moving on to the next clip, or I'm recording something else. Again, Sean, you with your 18 years of experience probably have video edits that are even more complicated than this. I mean, this looks as if it's got maybe 100 to 200 different clips and actions, but, you know, if you make a 10-minute video, you can easily get up to 1,000.
Yeah. And, you know, I love that. I want to encourage people to go back to the point of get 1% better with every upload. You know, I think there's something about when you start video editing, shoot a hook, shoot some content in the middle, trim off the ends, maybe put like your name pops up on the video, and get the video on YouTube. Because by the time you start adding, you start thinking, okay, what's the B-roll here? How do I do this effect here and this effect? You know, try to enhance your video editing a little bit each time. But yeah, Rob, I mean, I think it's, you know, it depends on the type of content. It depends on the strength of the communicator. It depends on maybe the power of the story. Those are some non-editing influences that I think can hold people's attention. Maybe the timeliness of talking about a trending news story, and even having visuals like this, where we're able to share our screen. This can this live stream can hopefully hold people's attention a little bit more because
Yep.
we're switching things around. I'm back here on the back end DJing. Someone asked what software are we using. This is StreamYard. And by the way, we have resources to everything. You can, of course, check that out in the show notes. Camtasia is another one. We've been working with Camtasia. Love them. One of probably the best ways to keep it simple when starting with video editing. And so to enhance your video editing, though, little by little, I think is huge because, of course, the standards of keeping people's attention. And I think, in my opinion, Rob, though, yes, the B-roll, maybe some motion graphics, maybe some different things. But I think the biggest advantage of video editing is simply trimming the fluff and taking you and me both. You said I got 18 years of experience. No one is anywhere close to as good in an edited video as they are in like stream of consciousness, or even a taught communication flow. Like, as I stumble over my words at this moment, all of this would be cut outable right now in video editing in the post version. And so by taking the time, I think a big principle for me I want to encourage is to be a little bit more aggressive and not romantic about your own voice and leaving parts in. If you at all think you should cut it out, you should probably cut it out. If it's not essential to the video, you should probably cut it out. If it's redundant a little bit, you should cut it out. If remember, the viewer doesn't know whether it was there or not. Shorter is probably going to be stronger. There is no reason to be, to just waste people's time. And then your audience retention curve will suffer if someone hits a moment where it's like, this is kind of a lull. They might bail at that moment. And so we know video editing can be overwhelming, but video editing is so powerful, 1% better, a little bit each time that you get in there. And Rob is continually not only honed his process, but it also has paid off. If you go to the vidiq channel, 2 years ago, they posted a video. It has 6.5 million views. A year ago, they got a video, 2.5 million. They have 1.7 million views. How to Start a Gaming Channel, 1.4 million views. What would it be worth to you to get a million viewed video? Well, the How to Start a Gaming Channel video is 6 minutes and 49 seconds. There is editing in it. There's B-roll in it. There's cuts in it. I think what can keep us from putting in that time now is I'm busy. I don't have the time to spend 10 hours editing or 20 hours editing on a video. But do you have time to get a million views? Do you have time to get discovered? Do you have time to break out and blow up your channel? Editing can be the difference maker to make a video really hit and resonate with people. And so this is a massive tip here. Number 4, video editing, value the viewer's time. Rob, anything else on this one?
Yeah, I was recently watching a video by Film Booth, actually. They were speaking to Hillier Smith, who edits videos for a lot of the big YouTubers, and one of them including Logan Paul. And he was talking about how, they had, as you said, Sean, so much footage that they could have made videos that were 10, 20 minutes, but they really tightly edited the videos down to 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, with the logic being that they were going to leave the viewer wanting more with every single piece of content, which led to binge watch sessions. So, we're always talking about this question about whether I should make my videos longer because it means I'll get watch time. Not necessarily going to get higher audience view duration, but, let's say if somebody watches my video for 6 minutes instead of 3 minutes, then that's surely better. And that's simply not the case. Remember, the viewer is the focal point of the YouTube algorithm, so to speak. It is serving up content for them, not necessarily your content as a creator. And by having these 4-minute videos, people were binge watching 3 or 4, 5 or 6 Logan Paul videos all at once, leading to 30 minutes, an hour of watch time. And that's something I'm actually starting to experiment with now, Sean. Typically the vidiq channel has made videos between, I would say, 8 to 12 minutes. But now I'm actually experimenting with focusing on just one important topic in a video and then making it maybe 4 to 6 minutes long. We're still in the very early stages of this, but my intent is to make a video. The video I'm making now about typical audience retention. We're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to specifically direct those viewers onto a related videos to try and create those binge watch sessions.
I want to pass that along as today's challenge to the Think Media community. First, let us know in the comments, how long are your videos typically? And second, here's your challenge. If you typically make 10-minute videos, experiment with some 5-minute videos. If you sometimes maybe actually only make short form content, maybe experiment with content being a little bit longer. You could hit the 15 or 20-minute mark. But there could be something so powerful about not just experimenting with your video lengths. So the challenge is make a video that's a dramatically, maybe a different format or length than you normally do, and try to make it half short, twice strong. Try to make the power of a 10-minute video fit into 4 minutes. It's going to be a challenge, but it really could serve the viewer. If you look at the tip on the screen, it's value the viewer's time. You're helping that viewer maybe get 10 minutes of information in 4 minutes. And that could be the very thing that triggers the algorithm to really boost audience satisfaction. And so in our community here, Rob, we have, 5, 8 to 10 minutes approximately.
Yeah.
Arlen's saying 8 minutes is a long time. And that's a great maybe mindset to understand if you're watching this training, to think, oh man, you're probably like 8 minutes. I'm just getting started. Well, then try 4, to what not just Rob was saying, but Hyler Smith, and, working with some huge creators that are really studying things at a big level. And so Romo, I mean, a lot of videos are 10 to 25. It's not that that needs to stop, but what would happen if you try a couple 4 to 6 minutes, and that maybe could unpack a new content format for you. If you're getting value out of this video, hit the like button. We've been talking all about the multi-step process of creating a YouTube video. Let us know what your biggest aha moment is so far that you're going to tweak in your workflow process. I mean, I promise you, if you apply at least one tip from this training with Rob, I believe your next video could be your best video, and you'll be able to get your videos done faster and also improve the quality at the same time. Definitely watch the replay if you're just joining live to check out the first 4 tips out of 5, and then stick around after tip 5 for a couple Q&As, questions answered about the production process, as well as some other cool things. But Rob, now we're at the 5th tip. We've shot our video. We've came up with our video idea. We've outlined our video. We've shot our video and recorded the footage. And now we have put it into our video editor, edited it. We hit that export button. And by the way, Think Media, we have videos on all of this workflow process. We have how to make a video from start to finish that'll actually help you if you're new to making it on your smartphone or using, a mirrorless camera or DSLR camera. Even the best settings for exporting your video. But now your video is exported. We have that file. We have launched it into space over our Wi-Fi 6E, and it's now going to, it's on YouTube. It's processing, optimize. Now's the time to get it ready to make it public. What are your tips? How do you do it?
So there are so many things that we can talk about in terms of optimization. Talking about keyword research and also like promoting your content ad nauseum. So what I'm going to try and boil it down to in this conversation is the 3-second sales pitch. So Sean, if you could share my screen right now, you'll see a wide collection of videos, some from Mr. Beast, one from Film Booth, another one from Travis, another vidiq creator, and also, funnily enough, our live stream going on right now. The big question is, which one are you going to click on as a viewer? And the likelihood is you're probably going to spend no more than 3 seconds, likely less, on what's on screen now. So how do you do that? I think the best way to simply answer this is through intrigue. Let me give you an example of how we achieved this recently. The top video here is a video that my colleague Dan made. And just look at the thumbnail and the title. Millions of channels just unlocked this, ... And the thumbnail is finally. Now, what type of questions does that generate in the viewer's mind? What tool are they talking about here? What's been unlocked that's really going to help me? The only way I'm going to find out the answer to this is to actually click on the video. And Sean, I just want to bring you in here, just from the title and the thumbnail. Do you really have any idea what this video is about?
No, I don't. And I'm completely intrigued
Right.
because, and a couple things. I'm intrigued, some nuances summarizing these tips. First of all, it's only 4 minutes. So I'm
Yep.
like,
4 minutes.
finally, okay, boom, unlock YouTube. So I'm like, okay, that's something in YouTube. I'm not sure what it is. It's going to make me, so the thumbnail grabs my attention first. Now I read millions of channels just unlocked this. Well, what did they unlock? But then my next thing is if I see that that's a 45-minute video or it's a 3 hour, I might be like, how long did it take to explain?
Yeah.
So but the fact it's only 4 minutes, I'm like, I gotta at least know what this is. So it's in terms of intrigue, it's off the charts.
So, as a viewer, you might be asking yourself, I'm not sure what's just been unlocked here, but hey, I'm a YouTube creator and this looks exciting. There's a fear of missing out here. I need to know what we've just unlocked. Now, the actual topic of this video is about the community tab. Now, the community tab itself, in terms of a search topic, isn't that exciting. But what YouTube have just done is lowered the requirements for the community tab from 1,000 subscribers to 500. And I don't know about you, Sean, but we get asked this question all of the time. Like, I really wish YouTube would lower the requirements for the community tab so I could start reaching more of my audience. I could start posting a little bit more on social media. And so it's something that's really exciting. And I think it's true. It's going to be unlocked for millions of creators. So, it's not clickbait in that sense. If the title, though, was something more along the lines of how to unlock the YouTube community tab early, I don't think that would have had as much impact. It may have had a bit of traction in search, but I think this has more traction because the sales pitch is really strong. That 3 seconds that you're going to look at this thumbnail and the title, it's grabbed me. I'm going to click on it. Now, here's a really important thing. That video has to deliver on the pitch. You don't want somebody clicking on that thumbnail and then abandoning it immediately. So that's why, as I said earlier, in the first 30 seconds of this video, Dan is telling everybody exactly what they're going to be unlocking and then going into a bit more detail in the 2 or 3 minutes that are left in that video. And that's why it has 45,000 views in a week. And if you want to share my screen again, I don't know if you've noticed this, Sean, but we have a few copycats who've tried to copy exactly our thumbnail and our title, presumably about the community tab. So I think we did a really good job on this one.
The copycats are actually hilarious because they literally like stole your lock. They they stole like the moving motion graphics. They put it. There's multiple copycats like and so that's I mean, hey, they're copying greatness. You know what I mean? You're trailblazing. And they're just an echo. They're not a voice. But ultimately, that's really powerful. And that intrigue tip is huge. Tony and I were just talking about that. Tony is now our producer at Think Media. And sometimes what we ask ourselves is this. We ask ourselves, sometimes a video, the subject matter of the video has influence itself. Maybe you're talking about the GoPro 10 and like people, that is the punchline. And maybe there's still intrigue around the GoPro 10, but like what the thing is, you want people to know. So they click on it because they're interested in it. But to your point, community tabs, maybe like it is exciting, but it's not like crazy. It's not like the craziest thing necessarily in the world. So putting kind of some mystery there can lead you to something that still people want to know, but it's kind of a secret of marketing. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Important information, but what's the sugar around that? What's the sizzle that you can kind of put around that to have people join the conversation? And so we have a series of videos actually coming up on this studio here. And so I'm excited, Think Media, because, I've been building out this studio. Let me know how you feel about this plant. Can I get a plant emoji in the comments, and kind of doing multi-angle. Oh, I just revealed the closet. The closet door should be closed.
Oh, what's in there? What's in there?
Oh, what is it? What's going on? Hey, cut back quick to the other. So we're kind of been dialing in this setup and we wanted to build out what we call at Think Media is a battle station. But saying that, there's some really powerful things like camera arms with like ball heads, but they're also kind of like, I want to talk about my clock. Best clock for I use a clock, so that's like kind of like off to the side, kind of like a speaker has a clock when they're on stage to try to help me keep on time. But all to say is I'm in the planning stage of what's the intrigue, because some things are a little more sexy, like cool cameras for live streaming, or a studio tour, like cool minimalist IKEA desk or something like that. Well, that's interesting. That clock is probably not that interesting. And so I was thinking about positioning it as cool tricks I use to get more views on my live streams. And so then one of those tricks is by having a clock that is off screen here, but it helps me stay on time. And that's only one of maybe 5 tips, because that's probably not a standalone video itself. But all that to say, optimize 3-second sales pitch. And Rob, would you agree with this? Think Media, this 5th point, we're about to do a Matrix Memento Pulp Fiction move right here. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for Christmas Day? Matrix 4? Come on, Neo. Come on. Okay. I actually think that number 5, what is the 3-second sales pitch? I think we need to move the end to the beginning. Yeah. I think that your process can be strengthened, that before you press record, you actually know what your 3-second sales pitch is. You know what your title is, maybe exactly, if not what the real clear big idea is. And maybe you haven't created it, but you've sketched it out, like gone through the process of sketching it out, or screenshotting some stock images and some things, and conceptualized your 3-second sales pitch before you even create your video. And so this is happening at the optimize stage. But if you do a little end from the beginning, order of events, kind of Pulp Fiction Memento type of flow, Benjamin Button, I mixed way too many metaphor analogies, and we move it to the front, it could change everything, because that big idea up front, really dialed in, can potentially influence the performance of your video. What do you think about knowing your 3-second sales pitch at the beginning, Rob?
Well, first of all, you just fired some bullets at me there, Sean, so I do need to dodge them. Okay. Yes, I agree completely. And I think this is a strategy that many creators do employ, who are super strategic, in that they will develop maybe 3 or 4 titles and maybe 3 or 4 thumbnails before they even press record. I would love to be able to have that mindset. And, that's another thing that I think I need to just realign my strategy. But yeah, I mean, if you in your head can deliver a 3-second sales pitch before you've even created the content, just imagine how powerful that is once it is uploaded to YouTube. So yeah, I think you've, as always, Sean, you've taken my idea, you've crafted it, you've molded it, and now we have the starting point of your video process. What is your 3-second sales pitch?
Yep, huge. And so there's, of course, is so much more that goes into, of course, optimization, and now the video's out, and studying your analytics and how's it performing. We have a couple really powerful questions we want to answer, but some resources for you that you want to definitely check out. Number one, if you haven't subscribed and checked out Rob on the vidiq channel, make sure to do that, because he's consistently dropping insights and strategies like he has today over on that channel, as well as the vidiq team. And so take advantage of that and check out some of that content. If you haven't got vidiq software and you haven't signed up, as well as gotten the vidiq vision installed, head to vidiq.com/think, so you can take advantage not only of the daily ideas tool that they just launched and is amazing, but also of a whole suite of tools. And we're going to be revealing and talking about some power strategies and tips on a lot of those incoming Think Media videos as well, because vidiq is like Alice in Wonderland. The rabbit hole goes pretty deep, and there's a magical cat on the inside somewhere smoking a pipe. It's weird. I mean, but there's a lot of magic inside of, that's not true, but the metaphors today and the analogies. vidiq.com/think, 30-day free trial on the boost plan. And with the daily ideas tool, Rob, the cool thing is you can install vidiq for free. I recommend people do that. And I think you get 3 daily ideas, and by boost you get 50 a day. Is that how it works?
Well, first of all, there is a magic cut. If you watch any live stream with Dan on, you will see that magic cat parading around his room. But you are indeed correct. With vidIQ Boost, you get 50 ideas. With vidIQ Pro, you get 10 ideas. But even if you've been using the free version of vidIQ for years and years and years, you will get 3 daily idea suggestions a day. And so, quick maths, again, that's 90 ideas a month. That could be your schedule. But of course, you'll get the full 50 suggestions a day with the Boost tool.
I love it. So vidiq.com/think to take advantage of that. A couple of powerful questions have come in here. We're going to do a couple lightning round questions, and then also we're going to have Rob answer some questions here. And we're going to start with a super chat from Salad Cream Boy. We're just keeping the questions focused on video production. And so thank you for that. I stutter and stammer a lot during filmmaking, which puts hours on my editing time. Any pointers? And I never got the hang of editing backwards. Well, first and foremost, Rob, any thoughts on those that are maybe stuttering, maybe stammering is part of it, or you can also maybe encourage us in terms of growing with communicating on camera in general, because it's really hard. Public speaking is one of people's greatest fears, let alone putting that onto the internet. And so what are some of your tips that you've learned?
Yeah, I would agree with the stammering and stuttering. I think what I most struggle with myself is trying to be too fancy with the words that I use. As I'm talking to camera right now, my vocal cords have been bombarded with words in my dictionary that are in my head that I want to come out through my mouth, but I'm trying to resist saying them because I always stumble and stammer on them. The one thing that I've tried, which helps me, is when I'm recording to camera, first of all, don't look at the viewfinder. That's obvious. We've all learned that technique, I hope, by now. But what I've done is added a very small green sticker at the very top of the lens. So I'm not even looking at the lens. I'm looking at that green dot. What other people have done is taken pictures of friends and family and put them as close to the lens as possible. And they talk to their friends and family as opposed to trying to talk to camera. There are many strategies on this. I mean, Charisma on Command, for example, is one channel that jumps to mind in terms of how to improve speaking to camera. But I mean, I've got to be honest, Sean, I look up to you as one of the, I guess, the real leaders in this space in terms of communication as a YouTube educator. So what would you suggest on top of what I've mentioned?
Well, I mean, the initial tip sounds cliche, but there's some nuances I have around it. And it really is that practice makes progress.
Sure. Yeah.
Practice doesn't make perfect. I think perfectionism or the pursuit of whoever's definition of perfect is kind of could be toxic, because life's a journey. And so I think just committing to growth, and it's that idea of getting 1% better, but it really is truly practice. And I think what people don't understand is that I've not only have I been on over 2,000 videos and articulated, like been the communicator in those videos, but also because I grew up in a church environment or was an intern and a church staff member and went through a school where they taught teaching and how to structure teachings and how to preach or structure a message. And I went through like rigorous classwork on that. Weekly, I was in videos and actually on stage with a microphone, nervous, talking too long, and then getting feedback and coaching and mentoring from the youth pastor at the time. And then on top of that, I had made a decision that communication was a skill I wanted to grow in. So besides being in that environment and making the videos and having the repetitious practice, I also studied TED Talks methodically. I bought books on how to be a better public speaker, paid for courses and coaching, and went to events on how to be a better public speaker, and then continue to study. And it's coming up on almost 20 years of doing that. The final thing I'll say is it's actually a really maybe different than we've heard before, because we're like, oh, I've heard practice before. But Malcolm Gladwell actually discovered in a book called Outliers what's called deliberate practice. And he discovered there's the 10,000 hour rule of what it takes to develop mastery in any subject. 10,000 hours takes 5 years to do if you work at something 40 hours a week. So it shows you that if you're actually going to be kind of at mastery in whatever it is you're trying to learn, that a mastery level is 40 hours a week, 5 years out. But check it out. It actually doesn't mean just, let me just watch the clock pass on by and then 5 years later I'm there. It's not just any practice. It's actually deliberate practice. And it's a great book to check out. We'll link that up in our show notes. Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. Deliberate practice insinuates a focused goal. It insinuates curriculum, coaching, like not just I tried to shoot a video, but I was getting feedback. Are we getting feedback on the video? Are we, what are we learning? What are we studying? And so definitely, I think that might sound like an intense level, like, dear God, that's pretty intense. Well, I think that if for whatever, and I appreciate your kind words, Rob, but that is what has led to this point in my life personally is probably 30,000 hours of deliberate practice and really actually having a clear vision of what I wanted to be doing, which is exactly this right here. And so I would encourage people, if you did just 10% of that, if you just did 20% of that, you're going to be a lot further than the individual that's more casual with their learning, that's more casual with their practice, that just hopes they arrive at a destination, as opposed to intentionally and deliberately pursues that clear destination that they want in terms of building a skill set.
And I would just want to give the creator this instant shot in the arm confidence. Just go back to a video that you made 6 months ago and watch it. And fingers crossed, I guarantee you will already be better on camera today than you were then. So you can see some of the progress that you've made.
Really great encouragement. And then also the second part of that question was, I never got the hang of editing backwards. I would just want to encourage you to rewatch that video by Omar. We'll link it up. And it's simply the idea that the biggest thing with the editing backwards, which I also learned, and Rob maybe can relate to this, was that he goes, I say the take over and over again until I say it right. And that's how I do too. So I record and I go, all right, guys, this next feature of the camera is, oh, shoot. Okay. All right, guys, the next feature of the camera is, okay. Okay. So the next, but here's what I know. The last take is the good one, because if I say it the last time and I start to, this is my biggest tip in editing, is edit by the WAV files. Edit not just by the video files, but edit by the WAV files, because I stop, I pause, I see there's a gap in the audio. And I see a little bit of audio stumble, fail. I'm like, okay, cut. And editing backwards is I'm actually editing from the end of all the best clips. That's my understanding of it. I'm not even sure if that's how Omar explained it, but definitely consider checking that out. All right, rapid fired. Arlen, do you suggest outsourcing when editing in the beginning if we can afford it? I do think that's reasonable, especially if you've got another business to run, you've got other things to do. The powerful thing about editing, though, in the beginning is sometimes it helps you develop your style. It can help you even understand how to coach or mentor or find an editor. There's services that do editing where you can just upload all the footage on Dropbox. And then the video comes back 2 days later. And yeah, I think if it's something you can afford, then that's definitely something to try for. And by the way, I would say do both at the same time. Big idea of the day: don't wait on your YouTube dreams. YouTube can't stand procrastination, as Rob says. Like, don't wait. Edit a video today while you're looking for an editor. Work with an editor while you're still editing a video right now. Take massive action. Post that video. Punch fear in the face. Press record. Hit the like button if you got value out of this video. Take massive action. Like, really just go for it. Why building out the next thing as well? Shushanix, I think I messed your name up, but Striker, how do you plan your content if you're a gamer and most of it happens on screen? Rob, if you're a gamer and most of your content is happening, I'm assuming doing like Let's Plays or just live plays, How do you plan your content out?
So I think in this case, certainly if it's let's play, where it could literally be anything happening randomly as you're playing the game, you have to start to get into a mindset of a storyteller. Like, what was the most exciting thing that happened during that let's play moment? And then how am I going to craft that into, the 3-second sales pitch? You need to develop those storytelling elements, I guess. If you're a little more structured and you're actually doing a walkthrough in terms of tutorials, then you probably, before you even start playing the game, you want to make a list of, really important things that you're going to cover in the game. And it might be the best weapons to have before you reach level 10. These ideas are just coming off the top of my head as I think of them. The first things you should do, the first hour of gameplay, what city should I visit, or what item should I get? How much currency should I try and gather, and try and create a list of 20 typical things that a gamer needs to learn on this game. And again, this is where I'm talking about, the experience starts to generate instinct, in that if you're watching similar creators covering content of a video game in the same way that you're going to, then that's going to inspire the type of ideas that you're going to be going forward with your content. Having said that, if you want to look at it from a completely opposite point of view, if you're not sure what's going to happen in your content, then start making live streams and make it really interactive, so that you're working with an audience as you work through something. And then that can lead to all sorts of weird and wonderful things, especially when you're having a conversation with them, like we're doing now on the stream here.
The next question is NK Artistry Creations says, won't shortening the video length negatively affect the hours viewed in analytics? Because I'm trying to reach my first YouTube milestone. And to answer that question is not a black or white answer, but it's essentially no. Here's a video. It's 4 minutes and 30 seconds. This video at this exact moment is 1 hour and 10 minutes. So we're at 70 minutes in this live stream, and this particular video is super short. But let's look at the total watch time hours, 7,500. If you that is exciting, right? Because you need 4,000 hours alone to qualify for monetization if you're trying to hit certain milestones. So it shows you one video could hit whatever target you want to hit in regards to, if you will, watch time hours. It's less about the length of the video, and it's more about, secondly, the average view duration on this video is, by the way, only 50%, 50%, which is pretty good. And could be better, but 2 minutes there in terms of how many watch time hours or minutes, not just views, is this video also accruing. So there's a lot of variables there. And I think the big idea is that one shorter video watched by a ton of people, and almost people watched till the end, could help you reach your milestones in just one video. And furthermore, there is something to say about maybe doing super long live streams that a core group of people watch, and that also accumulates your watch time hours. Both approaches could help you get to a potential target, but we want to recommend you with today's challenge to just experiment and try different formats. Because, by the way, NK Artistry, a viral video, right? Go 1 million views on a 4-minute video, and people watch all 4 minutes of it, and that would be 4 million minutes. All right, there. If I don't know if that was an accurate math, Rob. I gotta keep it moving. Okay, last question. Architectural Sheets Metal 101. Could you advise on a trade channel on how to be more efficient in producing content? We do a lot of tutorial videos, so I assume it's Architectural Sheet Metal, because the name of the channel is Architectural Sheet Metal 101. And could you advise a trade channel how to be more efficient producing content when maybe some of the videos are bigger projects, or are a little harder to make? Any thoughts?
So I'm guessing, because you're a tutorial channel, essentially you are going to be a search driven channel. I may be wrong about that, but that's the assumption I'm going to make. People are finding you through search, and what it usually means is that the viewer wants an answer as efficiently, as cleanly, and as concise as possible. which means that in terms of really fancy production values and so on and so forth, that's probably less important than you really delivering on the the sales pitch. Like if you're going to tell somebody how to cut metal efficiently with this tool, then the viewer probably wants to know that in 3 minutes as opposed to 12 minutes. We're going back to that question of, shouldn't I get people to watch the content longer? And the answer, generally speaking, especially when it comes to search content, is no. So what I would be thinking about doing here is shortening your content, as we've talked about already, but also thinking about if you can trim off any production values and have it not impact your audience view duration, because what that will tell us is that the viewers aren't necessarily too interested in, I guess, the overall quality in production. They're just more interested in you giving them exactly what they need to answer their question as to why they searched on YouTube. I know that kind of seems as if it's fighting against quality versus quantity, but if you're really tight on resources, then really think about what's going to provide you with the most content, which is most valuable to the audience that watches your content. You're thinking about your target audience here. Some people want to be really entertained by high quality production value videos that take a long time to make, but others just want an answer here and now. Give it to me in 2 minutes. If you're going to make a video about how to tie a tie, I don't want to be watching it for 10 minutes. I want you to show me in 30 seconds. Do it now, please. Thank you. I'm done. I'm going to go tie my tie.
Really good. And, this next, adding on to that tip, applies to everybody watching this right now. And I think could really help you get farther in this exact topic. How do you kind of make more videos? How do you manage your time better? And the question is this: what videos could you also create when you create your next video? And especially for architectural sheet metal, this would be like relevant. Here's how I would think. I'm on your channel and I'm looking at like standing seam metal roof, chimney flashing, and it's a tutorial of you doing that. It looks like you're giving tips, tools, and techniques on, all kinds of things that maybe other people that want to create this kind of stuff. And so this simple tools video, bisect and angle fast using simple tools. If you're out there and you're going to be on the chimney doing this chimney flashing anyways, I'm asking myself, okay, what video am I shooting tomorrow? I'm going to do that 34-minute tutorial. Well, what tools am I going to be using? Well, let me do a tools video as well. I'm going to actually talk about the angle knife, the ruler, thing. I'm going to be talking about the snips or whatever, Then you also might say, is there maybe 3 tips off the top of your head to say three safety measures, 3 ways to stay safe when working on metal roofs. And in terms of now you're going out to shoot that 134-minute video, you're already there. Camera's already out there. You're already there anyways. Maybe, of course, you got to get the project done. But if you stay an extra 60 minutes or 90 minutes after, work that day or whatever, could you bang out 3 or 4 videos that exist inside of the video that you're creating? And that actually is relevant for this very studio tour that I'm doing. In fact, this week, I have 14 videos listed out. One is, and it started, the only video I wanted to do is a studio tour, like a tour of what's happening in the studio as I began to build it out. But then I started to think, well, what have I been trying to problem solve? How to like Rodecaster Pro, make it so I don't hear the audio in the speaker certain times and so I have a separate audio interface. Is that the best thing to do? So like that'll be a video. I'm going to make a video on specifically the best camera desk mount tripods, because I researched like 4 different ones, went through all this pain. Usually your pain could turn into a great video to help somebody else avoid what you went through. So I really, when I say like best such and such product here on Think Media, it's because like I truly have tried to exhaust every other solution and literally scrape the ends of the earth by researching other people's videos, reading blogs, studying reviews, and potentially ordering 2 or 3 versions or whatever to compare it all. So I've been ramping up to this moment for a while now, and I have a Google Doc planned out with 14 videos, at least, and sometimes inspirational. I'm going to do a live streaming tips video, because if I'm talking about my live streaming studio, got a live streaming tips video that's going to happen in there as well. I'm going to talk about niche specific things in the setup. I'm going to talk, I started studying USB 3.1 generation 2, which transfers at 10 gigabytes a second. And I'm going to do a video on USB 3.1 generation 2 versus Thunderbolt 2 and 3. I believe Thunderbolt 3 does 40 gigabytes a second. And listen, I was learning this in trying to problem solve and find card readers and find all this stuff. Does that make sense? So I hope that whoever you are or whatever your channel is, you could think about what videos could I create inside of the video I'm already creating. But especially architectural sheet metal, you really could think about how you could, next time you go out, you have a similar niche in the idea that there's the tool side, there's a technique side, there's the tutorial itself side. And if you spend a little bit longer producing content, you could potentially turn one video into maybe just 2, but maybe 3 or 4 or 5 when you start thinking about the videos that live inside of the video. Rob, what do you think about that?
That sounds like the perfect answer to people who worry too much about video length, in that what it sounds like you're going to be doing with your studio tour, Sean, is you're breaking it down into bite-sized pieces of content. It might be 4 or 5 minutes instead of a 30-minute full studio tour. But the key is, I think, what's going to be really powerful is when you say, you're talking about the best microphone to use. But you know what you should be doing with this microphone? You should be plugging it into the best sound deck. And if you watch this video over
clickers
here,
have the screen right here. Yeah, Rob, you just called it out. That's the way every video ends, is they link to each other in a giant system, is what we call circular video viralocity.
Well, I'm going to call it session watch time.
Okay.
And I really wish YouTube would start to share this metric in the studio somehow. If they could tell us when a person is moving from one video to another, binge watching your content, like how long did they spend on the Think Media channel? All right, maybe I got 50% audience retention on this video, but the actual entire session watch time of that viewer on the Think Media channel was like 24 minutes. All right, so they must have watched 3 or 4 videos. Now that's really super powerful. And I think that's where, we're talking about this experimentation here of making videos half as long as they are, but then really strategically thinking about where you're going to send that viewer next in your content. And the final thing I want to say about all of this in terms of experimentation, your channel is not made of glass. If you test this and the video doesn't perform well, that doesn't mean that your channel is going to perform terribly for the next 6 months. The likelihood is you've had your viral moments for your channel in the past by experimenting, trying new things. The problem becomes when you get a little too comfortable and you're doing the same thing over and over again and hoping that the audience is going to stay the same and the YouTube is going to stay the same in terms of its recommendation system. And then you start to wonder, why am my audience starting to abandon me, even I'm pushing out the same content that I did this time last year? What's gone wrong? YouTube, why are you punishing me? It's not necessarily YouTube. It's your audience is wanting new and different things. And I think through this experimentation of these shorter videos, Sean, it sounds like I definitely want to check out your studio tour. Definitely. I mean, I'm ready to upgrade half of the things that I'm using.
Well, Rob, great thoughts. And thank you so much for adding so much value today. If you happen to just be joining, watch the replay and catch 5 easy tips. Maybe they're not so easy, but they are simple. And over time, you're going to be able to learn and adopt these into your workflow to help you go further, faster in creating your next best YouTube video. I want to encourage you right now to check out the show notes. We have time codes, so you can find the sections in the video. You can find a lot of resources, whether it's the books or a 30-day trial on vidIQ or video editing software and different things that we talked about in today's power-packed session. If you got value out of this, could you smash the like button and maybe consider somebody that would love this information? Do you have somebody that's interested in getting into YouTube, is maybe thinking about the video creation process? If you got value and learned something today, then it'll probably serve somebody else. So maybe would you share this with one person? And then drop in the comments, what was your biggest aha moment today? Remember, we are all about action here at Think Media. And so we don't want to just get information. We want to be all about implementation. We want to put into action the things that we learned today. And so what one thing from Rob's 5 tips are you going to work on improving? Are you going to work on coming up with stronger video ideas, maybe using the vidiq tool? Are you going to work on outlining your videos and spending more time in planning so that you don't lose a ton of time later in editing because there's so much footage or things are just too disorganized and overwhelming? Are you going to maybe improve your shooting process and just be more streamlined? Maybe something practical. Charge your camera batteries the night before so you don't slow down your workflow the next day. Set up your camera and maybe your background the night before, because that will potentially help you have less stress on video shoot day. It could be editing and it could be something about optimizing. And I also want to encourage you to subscribe if you haven't, and make sure you turn on notifications, because Rob will be back in the future. We're going to be talking more, not just about all of this YouTube strategy, but about how to use vidiq to optimize our videos so they can rank in search, reach more people, speed up the optimization workflow. As he mentioned, that could have been a 4-hour rabbit trail that we went down just in optimization. And so stick with us, because over the coming weeks and months here at Think Media, we're really going to be continuing to help you build your influence with the best tips and tools for online video. My name is Sean Cannell. The channel is Think Media. Thank you so much for being here today. Click or tap the screen to check out another video that you will love, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.